I'm Autumn Johnson, and this is my bracket. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it, starting over at the Albany 1 region, South Carolina. I feel like I'm going to be clicking this name a lot, advancing into the second round. Tough battle between North Carolina and Michigan State, but I'm going with the Tar Heels. Ooh, this one's going to be a shootout, but going with the sleeper team, FGCU. And then Indiana, we don't know the status of Mackenzie Holmes yet, but I have them moving forward. Let's keep it rolling. Moving on down, Nebraska making it to the Big Ten championship game versus Iowa. Double overtime. I think they're going to be okay to advance forward. Oregon State, have them as a sleeper. Ole Miss advancing over Marquette. Notre Dame and Hannah Hidalgo, we trust, so I'm moving them forward. And we move on. Texas. With the Texas fight going to the second round, I have Florida State, Tanai Latson taking on her first NCAA tournament, seeing her doing some chaos in this one. Utah, South Dakota State. I'm going with Utah because Alyssa Peely in her last ride is going to be sensational and one to watch. The Zags, they've been ranked this season, and I have them going up against Utah. They've faced Pac-12 teams all season long. We'll see how that one fares out when I get back to it. Tennessee, I feel like I'm going to be clicking this name too a lot. I'm big on the Vols as of late. NC State making it to the ACC championship game. I have them moving forward. Iowa State, Maryland. This one I struggled with, but I'm going to go with Audie Crooks and what she's been able to do in her freshman year to advance over Maryland. Stanford taking down Norfolk State. They'll move on. Let's head on over to Albany 2. This one's going to be a tough one for me because this is a gauntlet over here, but the number one offense, second round, there's no surprise there. Ooh, this one is also one of my sleeper picks when we look at Princeton's defense. Colorado taking down Drake. And then K-State moves forward for me. Ayoka Lee has not shied away from her last ride, All-American type player. I think she's going to do numbers in this tournament. As we move on, Jeff Walsh knows what to do with this squad when it comes to Final Fours. He'll be able to coach this team moving forward. Same with Kim Mulkey, trying to run it back as the defending national champs. This one with Creighton's going to be a shootout, but I have UNLV as my sleeper pick. Moving on with the upsets. You got to have some upsets. It's March. Come on. UCLA with the inside-out attack. We'll see how that fares out as we move on to one of the toughest brackets that we have over here, but Fear the Bun, Juju Watkins in her first year. I'm telling y'all, she's going to be a star to watch as she's been all season. Kansas moving on with Hannah Jackson. Twin, where have you been? We're going to see her take on Juju possibly. Baylor taking down Vanderbilt. And then Virginia Tech, we don't know the status of Kitley just yet, but I'm going to make sure that they get into this advancement. Going on to Baylor with Georgia Amore. We'll see how Kitley comes in. All right, this I struggle with because this can also be a sleeper pick when you look at Auburn being a first four team. They'll have momentum. I have them taking down Syracuse with another upset, but UConn getting the job done. They know how to be a championship team. Yes, they do. Taking on Auburn. Duke with the defense moves my second round. The Buckeyes, that press is scary. That's going to be a defensive nightmare, but we'll get to it. All right, second round. Woo, this is where it gets tricky. Is this deja vu with Deja Kelly taking on South Carolina? Yes, it is. But as I mentioned, I'm going to keep clicking this South Carolina name constantly. FGCU, I think the Cinderella story ends here. The clock will strike midnight with Mackenzie Holmes. Inside, Nebraska and Oregon State. I mentioned that sleeper. Going over to Sweet 16 for me. And then Notre Dame, I love what they're doing with Hannah Hidalgo. We'll see how the injuries play out, but I think she is not shying away from the moment in her freshman year. All right, moving on down. Texas. Vic Schaefer knows what to do when it's with a deep run for his team. Utah Zags. Whew. All right. I'm going to go with Alyssa Peely, banking down low, getting the best of that matchup with Yvonne. We got Tennessee. I'm staying high with the Vols. I'm going to keep going all in on them. I think the veteran leadership of Cam Brink gets the best of Audie Crooks. All right, this is shaking out pretty nicely. Let's keep this thing moving. Defense versus offense. I know defense wins championships, but come on. Caitlin Clark, Sweet 16. All right, Colorado, K-State. I know this is a tricky one. We could see two possible matchups when it comes to Iowa. But when the game's on the line, I'm trusting in Jalen Sherrod. Louisville, LSU. Let's go with the defending national champs once again. And this is going to be a tough battle, but inside-outside presence of UCLA is undeniable. You can't really contain it. As we move down, let's see who's going into the Sweet 16. I have Kansas ending right there, and Virginia Tech continue to move on. Not sure of the status, but I'm going to trust that they can get past Baylor. UConn and their experience will take them to the Sweet 16 with Paige Buckets and Aaliyah Edwards. Defensive matchup, we could see Celeste Taylor take on her former team. And I'm going to have them get the best of that matchup. Whew, is that deja vu as well? We're probably going to get a rematch. We'll get back to that. Let's go to our Sweet 16, and this matchup is looking too sweet for the Gamecocks. I mean, should we just keep clicking? Oregon State, I'm going to keep, actually, this is where I stopped believing in the Beavers. Notre Dame, moving forward. Texas defense, moving forward. Tennessee, that length, I think it's going to be too much. And the X factors will be the guards as we continue to move on to the Sweet 16 over here. Am I doing this right? Okay, Iowa. Let's see. Iowa, Colorado. Still going with Caitlin Clark, taking this team all the way for a possible rematch of the championship we saw last year. And I think this is where Virginia Tech ends. They continue the dance when it comes to the Trojans and making history. And I got an upset alert, 2 taking down 3, not really an upset, but a lot of people don't think Ohio State can take down UConn. I think that press is undeniable. And the injuries and death worry me for UConn, so I have them ending right there to face USC. Now let's go ahead and dive into my Elite 8. The number 1 team showing its dominance, going to the Final Four. Also, I think Texas meets them when it's all said and done. On the other side, I have LSU taking down Iowa. A 3 seed will get back to the Final Four. Then I think the press taking on USC in that first year leadership coming from Juju Watkins. I think the experience is going to shine for Ohio State, who've been to the Elite 8. They will advance forward. Now for my Final Four, we got a mix of 1 seeds, 3 seeds, 2 seeds. South Carolina, this is familiar territory, and same thing goes for the Tigers. But when it's all said and done for the championship game, I think this is kind of already obvious that my champion is South Carolina. The number 1 team in the country from start to finish. They have defense, they have rebounding, and they have an elevated offense that is unmatched with anyone in the country. That's my March Madness bracket.